Welcome to our favorite amusement park, Knoebels Amusement Resort in Ellisburg, Pennsylvania. We're starting off this tour at the far east end of the park where the parking lots are, the main parking lots, there are quite a few of them, and where the picnic pavilions are. And it's awfully difficult to do a walkthrough of this park because it's not your typical conventional amusement park with a defined midway. Knoebels is basically a giant picnic grove that happens to have major rides all over the place. So there is no real formal midway. You're just wandering in a forest and you happen across these rides. So what we're going to do is we're going to just sort of walk in a relatively random fashion, and I'm going to try to get you sort of in a clockwise motion from where we are in the parking lot around the O Pavilion, and sort of give you a lay of the land here. Over there you can see the Ferris wheel, and you can also see Impulse, which is their Zero looping coaster, and those are at the far east end of the park as well. In front of us is a restroom and the lift hill for Skloosh, which is their massive shoot the chutes ride that puts out a whopping splash. It's pretty impressive. We'll see it a little later on. So we're just going to head northward here and then take a left. You can see the pirate ship in the distance. I love the loaf building, which is designed to look like a huge loaf of bread. And you'll find a lot of whimsical structures like that in the park. The park opened in 1926, and it is still, as of this date, the largest free admission park in the United States. There's no charge to park, and there's no charge to get into the park. You can either get a wristband or you can buy a book of tickets and just pay for individual rides if that's what you want to do. Here's another look at Skloosh. This was taken very early in the morning, so everything wasn't quite running, but the park would get mobbed later on in the day, and so I wanted to get the walkthrough done when I could still walk through the park. Now this has been in the works for about 3 years. This is a Bayern Curve, one of the last in the world, Schwarzkopf flat ride that simulates a roller coaster going around and up a hill, almost like a Himalaya. And Knoebels is interesting. They work on their own timeline. They simply do the ride right, and as long as it takes, that's how long as it takes. That was true of their flying turns, which we'll see a little later, and that's true of Bayern Curve. They're just taking their time with it so they can do it right. So that'll be a nice addition to the park when it's open. Over here, they're putting in something else, and I don't know exactly what it is. It looks like some sort of building that they're putting in, but I'm not quite sure. So I guess we'll find out on our next visit. There's potato cakes. Lots and lots of really good food in the park. It's one of our favorite things coming here because we know we're going to eat really well. And the food is remarkably affordable. You can get a large slice of pizza, and it's really good pizza, for $4.50, which, you know, if you go to Six Flags and try that, you're going to be spending 4 times that amount. Over there on the right is the park's big sit-down restaurant, the Alamo, and it has a pretty large menu, you know, pasta, seafood, whatever you want. And again, prices are very reasonable. We're currently walking down Knoebels Boulevard, which is sort of the main thoroughfare through the entire park. Over here on the left is the Pioneer Train, which is a 1.5-mile miniature train ride. And it's really nice. It basically just goes through a forested area, and it's really fun. At the very far end, when you turn around, they have these big pinwheels with ears of corn on them, and you can often see deer and squirrels nibbling away as you go by. There's the big pool, one of the few left at amusement parks. So if you want to refresh yourself on a hot day, You can always come to the pool. That is a separate charge. If you have a wristband, the wristband gets you everything except for the pool and the Haunted Mansion, which we'll see a little later. I think one of the things that makes this park so special is that it is still family owned and operated after all these years. It's been handed down from generation to generation in the Knoebels family, and they take a lot of pride in this park. The Knoebels family, actually, they have a lumber company, and that's one of the reasons that they're able to build all these amazing wooden rides that they have, because basically they're a lumber company. And again, they take their time with it. The Flying Turns, for instance, took them 7 years to build, but boy, was it worth it. And this is one of the most beautiful things in the park. There are rivers and brooks and streams running all the way through the park, and it makes it very picturesque. But it's also the bane of the park, because the park is prone to a lot of flooding, especially in the spring. And some of the flooding is pretty severe. However, they keep bouncing back from it. They keep rebuilding after it. That's the entrance to the Crystal Pool. And you'll notice these signs for ride passes. You'll find them at various locations. You can't get ride passes everywhere in the park, but you can pretty much get tickets anywhere in the park. Over on the right, you can see the structure of the Flying Turns, which is a wooden bobsled ride that was built to basically recreate the Flying Turns from the old Chicago's Riverview Park. And that little bridge goes across to a cottage. And this is another thing I love about this park. It has all these cottages in the park, and you can rent those cottages for a week and just stay there in the middle of the park, enjoying the good life. Now that passage right there, you see it says Twister, that brings you to the park's other big roller coaster, wooden roller coaster, called Twister. And it is a copy of the original Mr. Twister that was at Elitch Gardens many, many years ago, in the original Elitch Gardens. And they meticulously recreated that ride, and it is a kick-butt ride. It is really thrilling. It's very easy to get lost in this park. I've done it many times. You just don't know exactly where you are, and you have to sort of pick out landmarks as you get to know the park to sort of figure out where you're going. There's the Tornado ride, and next to it is Stratosphere, which is their drop tower. And you can see what I mean about how the rides are just sort of randomly placed wherever they decide to put them. So you have rides all over the place, but there's no real formal midway to get to them. Over here on the left is the entrance to the campground, and we've stayed there several times. They have both tent spaces you can rent, they have RV spaces, and they also have these really nice cabins that you can stay in. It's a huge campground, and that gives you real easy access to the park. They do have a small restaurant that we're going to see a little later that serves really good breakfast. Again, very reasonably priced. All right, so now we're wrapping around. Now this building is interesting. This is where the Knoebel family used to live at one time. I don't know if they still do. But again, right in the middle of the park. And you're going to see some more rides hidden away in the trees. Again, no sort of plan. If you happen to see the ride and you can ride it, great. You know, the little twisting ride here, Tumbling Timbers for kids. And behind it is a vintage Irely Rockoplane in really nice condition. And that's the thing about Knoebels. Everything here is in beautiful condition, no matter how old the ride. Over here on the left is Gasoline Alley, which is a pretty long antique car ride, and it goes through the structure of this ride right in front of us now, the Phoenix. This is what brought me to the park originally. The Phoenix was one of the first successful relocations of a roller coaster, a wooden roller coaster. It was originally the Rocket, at Playland Park in Texas, and they moved it here after that park closed, and it is, in my opinion, the greatest wooden roller coaster on the planet. It is a phenomenal ride. You do not stay in your seat on that. I took a right at this point and forgot to keep walking down because there is the flume ride. It's a wonderful flume ride that they have a little further past the Phoenix. They also have the Mining Museum, which also features Knoebels Museum. It's really nice to look into. And they also have the Black Diamond Mining Company, which is another rescue. It's the last Philadelphia Toboggan Company dark ride / roller coaster, and it's a really good ride. So more stuff to see if you just keep walking down this street here. This is a vintage Wurlitzer band organ that plays all day. It wasn't playing at that point because, again, the park was just opening. The chalet has some wonderful themed gifts in there. Over on the left here is Phoenix Junction, which serves lots of food, including black bean burgers if you're a vegetarian. And a little further down is the International Food Court, which is the place that serves breakfast. So lots to eat all over the park. This is another view of the flying turns, and look at that line. It can be a really long wait for this ride. So get there early if you want to ride that. Over here is their Christmas shop, which has a lot of really pretty Christmas-themed gifts. And that North Pole that you see is actually icing. So if you touch it, you can get your tongue stuck to that pole if you're not careful. It is that pole, I don't know how they do it, but it is freezing. It's a nice touch. There's a shooting gallery. Tucked away back there on the right is Looper, which is another vintage ride. And beyond that, you can see the flying scooters going around. Just beyond this American Heroes sign is Cosmotron, which is a Matterhorn or a Music Express type ride that's in the dark. I love all the paintings that they have on the buildings. Really beautiful architecture. I love this stone building over here too. This is where you can get some fudge. And notice I'm just wandering around here. There's really no formal way to progress. So I'm just picking where to go randomly. And over there in front of us now is the main gate, basically, of where you would get your wristband or where you would get your tickets. There is no season pass for Knoebels, and also you cannot have a wristband on the weekend. So Saturdays and Sundays, it's tickets only. So if you come here on a weekend, you have to pay per ticket. This is also another line for getting wristbands right here. When we were there to get our wristband, the line stretched all the way back across that covered bridge. It's huge. There's a little picture spot with the Knoebels clown, and that's also the entrance to the Knoebels mini golf course, which is a very nice course. And there's some games over on the right. There's a gift shop over here on the left. Guest services is in front of us. And they have lots of different little guest service stations all around the park. And they do accept cash here. They have ATMs all over the place. And they also have Apple Pay or Google Pay all over the park. So you can tap to pay anywhere too. This is a beautiful old stone lighthouse, and that has a little puppet show that happens occasionally during the day. This shows you where the big flood was in 2011. That's how high the water level was. So, as you can tell, it can get pretty catastrophic. But it looks so peaceful and serene right now. I love this building. Made to look like a giant birthday cake. It's just a pavilion. And then over here on the left is one of the 3 carousels in the park. and they all have working band organs, which is amazing. Actually, this carousel has 2 band organs, and usually they, of course, only run one at a time because it would be cacophony if they ran both of them. And this is one of the few merry-go-rounds left in the world that still has a brass ring that you can grab. And there it is. That's the brass ring mechanism. You just reach out and grab the ring, and if you get the brass ring, you get a free ride. Of course, if you have a wristband, it doesn't really matter. And there's the other band organ sitting off to the side, the Bernie. All right, and we'll continue wandering around here. In front of us is Creekside Coffee, in case you need your caffeine fix. And across the bridge here, you can see Cosmo's play area. Cosmo is their little mascot, and it's a wonderful little play area for kids. The old mill serves really good ice cream, and to the left of the old mill is the Shake Shack, which serves really good milkshakes. There's the miniature golf course. Now we're coming up to one of our favorite areas in the park. You can see the paratrooper going in the distance, and you have the miniature golf course, so those are your sort of landmarks. And then right here is a really great food booth. Now it's surrounded by very similar pavilions, so there are 3 of them, they all look alike. And what I love is you have this water wheel, and the water wheel is turning the flywheels, and the flywheels are attached to a gear system that turns a shaft, and the shaft goes over to this building here, and it turns the roof of this pavilion. And you have another one to the left of this that also has a turning roof. And it's just a really unique place to sit and relax and eat. And here is where you get your food in this area, and this has tri-taters, which are incredible. I guess the best way to describe them would be like triangular hash browns. They also have pierogies here. It's just really, really good. And again, very affordable. So that's one food place you ought to check out while you're here. And you can see the roto-jets over there. Tilt-a-whirl. So again, rides are just scattered all over the place. And over here is the pizza shop, and really good pizza, and again, very affordable. Now, right in front of us is one of the landmarks in this park. It's considered to be one of the greatest dark rides in the United States. It's the Haunted Mansion. Not to be confused with Disney's Haunted Mansion. This Knoebels did it all themselves, and it's unique, has a lot of really fun stunts. It's not gory, it's not like a really bloody kind of Haunted Mansion. It's very entertaining, and that is an upcharge, so you pay at the little ticket booth there and you get your tickets. So we're going to keep moseying on here. This is a laser tag arena. Just beyond it is a shooting gallery, and then this big blue building in front of us is the Time Machine Theater, and it's this wonderful interactive show for kids and adults where you actually get involved in the story, and they give you little costume pieces, and you get to be part of the little fairy tale story that they tell. You can see the parachute drop for kids there. And then this building right here is another amazing gift shop. It's called the Brass Ring, and it also has a carousel museum inside, which is really nice. Something else I love about Knoebels is it's constantly evolving, and it's growing, and it's changing with the times, but at the same time, they always find a way to keep their heritage intact. So they always find a way to make sure that this is Knoebels. And even though they have modern rides coming in, they still keep their mix of old style rides like the Paratrooper. And that really makes me happy when I come to the park, because it feels like an old friend every time I revisit. So we've circled around, and there on the left is the Tri-Tater stand, and in front of us is the old mill. Just keep meandering through the shade for a bit. In the distance you can see the potato patch, which, as you might expect, serves fresh-cut French fries. Although they have kiddie rides throughout the entire park, we're coming up on an area that probably has the most concentration of kiddie rides. So if you have little kids, this is a great area to take them to. There are also several displays here of lumber work, which makes sense for Knoebels being a lumber company. So things like this massive tree here on the rails, and they occasionally have some working lumber machinery, and you can see them actually cutting the wood, and it's interesting to watch. And some more vintage rides here for the kiddies. And in front of us now is something very rare. This is their other carousel down here, which is a Stein & Goldstein. For those of you in the know about carousels, you'll know that this is one of the few Stein & Goldsteins. I think it's one of 3 left in the world. It's still in beautiful condition and with a working band organ. And this is the station for Old Smoky, which is another really nice miniature train ride. And notice how the organ is in tune, everything's working, the drum is really solid. And here are the Panther cars. Nice little autocar ride for kids of all ages. Over here, kids can pilot their own backhoe. And here's yet another bridge. So you can see how much water there is flowing through this park. And this little booth over here sells Knoebels' version of cheese on a stick. My opinion, it's not really cheese on a stick. They're basically skewered mozzarella balls. But it's good. And tucked away over here is the band shell, and this is where they have most of the entertainment throughout the day. All different types of stuff. For many, many years, they used to have the Walton's dog show there with Baby Toby. And I think they've passed on since then, but that was always a staple at the park. Here are some hand cars. Again, something very rare in parks, but nice to see them. Here's another carousel, a little more modern one. The cars that you see going by in the distance are on Knoebels Parkway, which is the main route to get to the park. There's the kiddie boat ride, and the Red Barons. Well, right next to the kiddie boat ride is another boat ride, but this one a real boat ride on a little man-made stream. And both kids and adults can pilot it. And you actually do steer the boat. And over here are their much lauded loose bumper cars. These are vintage, and they're in gorgeous condition, and they go fast. And hidden in the trees just past that red bridge is Cosmo's Curves, which is the park's kiddie coaster. Lots of benches in the park so you can sit and relax. Over here on the left is another vintage Irely ride, their Rollerplane. You can see the lift hill of Cosmo's Curves over there. Whipper is the vintage whip ride, Mangle's Whip, and we'll see that a little closer in a minute. Notice that there's very little pavement in the park. Most of it is crushed stone, and it feels really nice under the feet, much better than tar or concrete. And just beyond Whipper, you can see the Sky Ride, which is a really nice ride up the mountainside. It goes across the highway and then up the mountainside all the way to the top and then turns around and comes back. Really relaxing and pretty amazing scenery. You get a really good overview of the park from up there, and you realize how much of the park is just completely shrouded in trees. You can't really see much of it except for the big roller coasters. Those you can see. And again, not too many of these rides left in the world, but Knoebels keeps theirs in top shape. And there's the order window for the Loaf, the building we saw at the beginning. It doesn't serve bread, but you got the Cookie Nook on this side, and you've got Dole soft serve on that side. And here's the station for Impulse. And there's the entrance to the giant wheel. And there's the parking lot out there. The parking lot is about the size of the entire park itself. And when we left, it was completely filled. So this park does get very busy, especially on the weekends. This was Friday we were there. But I can't recommend this park highly enough. It is really a treasure in this country, and there aren't a lot of parks left that are family owned, that are this well maintained and this loved. It has an extremely wide variety of rides for everybody in the family. So you've got the trains, which are fun for older adults. You've got lots of thrill rides. You've got kiddie rides. There's something for everybody here. The food is incredible, and it is really affordable, and the park is really affordable. Again, you don't have to pay anything to get in here. You can just come here to eat if you want. But it is a huge park, as you've seen, and it takes a while to get the lay of the land. So it's probably a good idea to come here for more than one day. And if you do, if you're into camping, you've got the huge campground, which puts you right next to the park. So if you're in the northeastern Pennsylvania area, this is an absolute must-stop if you love traditional old amusement parks. So come pay a visit to Knoebels Amusement Resort in Ellisburg, Pennsylvania.